So this is going to be week number 2 and week number 3 of minivan auction school. We're going to do minivan auction school in a Dodge Ram this time, so it's actually going to be Dodge Ram auction school. I've got Dad with me and we've got Abby with me. So one of them is going to be week 2, one of them is going to be week 3. Haven't decided which one's going to be which yet, but we're going to get them both filmed today. So when you see these, they might still be wearing the same clothes in both video. Don't think that they don't like shower and change clothes, because they do that. It's just all going to be filmed in one day, because we're driving home today from Rockford, which is the one day a week that we all three work together. We all three get to do an auction together today. We all sell our own lane, so we don't really work together. We just kind of ride together. But Abby has been putting a lot of preparation into being your guys' instructor. She is the current international women's auctioneer champion. So it's not very often that you get to learn something from an international champion. But today is going to be one of those days, because we got a special treat for you. So Abby's going to be jumping on, and Abby's going to be teaching you guys some of the different things that she thinks you should learn during minivan auction school. So everybody give a big round of applause for your instructor, Miss Abigail Schmid.
Hey guys. So Logan talked a lot about the importance of clarity over speed, and I cannot emphasize enough that he is 100% right. And he gave you I'm bid 1, now 2, which would be a 2-part chant, which is going to be the first thing that you're going to want to learn when going into auction school or just starting to formulate an auction chant. And then once you feel like you have a good understanding of a 2-part chant, you can move on to a 3-part chant, which is I'm bid 1, now 2, would you give 2? It's just an additional question that you're going to ask. So in my auction chant, my question is, do you want to give? So it continues as you say it, and you are able to say it more quickly. It's do what to give, and then it's just do what to give, 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 and you, if you practice it enough, can add some influx into it and, change how you're asking that question, and you can adjust it to the tempo and speed of the auction that you're doing. Like Logan said, he has different auction chants for different situations. And we do a lot of wholesale car auctions during the week. And even for that, selling a commercial lane versus selling a dealer consignment lane, you're going to spend more time selling a dealer consignment car. A lot of times you have the opportunity to put more fill in and to, I'm trying to think how I'm going to say it. Like a commercial or a lease lane, you don't need as much fill. You're counting fairly rapidly. Something that's really important in your foundation of your chant is learning how to count. And a lot of people think that that sounds really silly, but whenever you're auctioneering, when you're taking in your crowd and watching the internet and watching your bidder's assistant, your clerk, the last thing that you need to be able to think about is the next increment that you're going to be counting. So practicing just number drills is a really great way to set a foundation for your auction chant. 1s, 2.5s, 5s, 10s, hundreds, thousands. This last week we were in Mecum, Florida, and some of the guys were having opportunities to sell cars for numbers that they had never sold for, and they were really intentional in practicing those numbers. And it's the same thing, it's just a different decimal point. But how you say 100 is different than how you say 1,000, is different than how you say dollar. So all of those filler words come into play in how you're practicing it. I want to turn it back over to Logan and see if he has anything he wants to add to that.
Something I would say that I would add to that point that Abby's making is when you go to practice your auction chant, momentum really carries you. So if you want to practice selling and you're 1, da-da-ba-2, da-da-ba-3, da-da-ba-4, da-da-ba-5, da-da-ba-6, da-da-ba-7, da-da-ba-8, da-da-ba-9, da-da-ba-10, da-da-ba-11, da-da-ba-12, da-da-ba-13. That's easy to move forward. Like, it's very easy. It's like running in place versus running forward. I mean, if you're running in place, you're holding yourself back. Where if you're running forward, you've got momentum. You're carrying yourself forward. So when you practice, don't practice moving forward, because moving forward is going to be the easiest way to sound pretty. It's going to be the easiest way to gain speed. What you want to practice on is the grind, because the grind is kind of the toughest part. When you got two bidders and you got one guy that's kind of dragging his feet and he's really, 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 really thinking on it, and you've got, or if you're dealing with items that have a reserve, and you've got a guy that's grinding and he's trying to get the seller to pull the reserve off of the car, and you've got to stay on the same two numbers for maybe 30 or 40 seconds or even upwards of a minute, and you don't get to carry that natural momentum that you take while you're advancing the bid forward. I think a very good thing to practice is staying on two numbers for 30 seconds or 40 seconds or a minute, because you'll notice that your rhythm is hard to keep with two numbers the longer you have to do it. Your speed might slow down. It takes more oxygen, takes more airflow, I would say, to bounce upon the same two numbers than it does to be able, you lose your adrenaline, you lose your excitement. So while you're practicing, don't just try to move forward with it. Take a couple numbers and go. And also don't just do the numbers you like to say, because everybody's got two numbers that they really like saying and they think they sound pretty saying it. But then you got two numbers you hate saying. And practice the numbers you don't like saying. Like 6, I don't like 6. 6 is very hard. I don't like 6 asking 7, but I love 7 asking 8. So, I mean, it's just, everyone's got their kind of things that they do. But I would say, Abby's number drills are great. I'm going to have Abby maybe give a couple examples of a couple of the number drills that she's discussing. She doesn't have to count all the way up to 100 by any means. But kind of give a little bit better of an explanation of what she meant by the increment numbers that she was talking about. So we're going to put the camera back on Abby for a bit, and Abby's going to take back over.
Another thing I'm going to add before I do the number drills, like what you were just talking about with hanging between two numbers, that's also a really good time to just slow down your filler word. 400, do you want to get 5? 4, do you want to get 5? 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 400, sir, do you want to get 500? Do you want to get 5? I'm bid 400. Anybody want to get 500? And that way you're not beating the breath out of yourself. You're taking an opportunity to reset your foundation whenever you're stuck just kind of grinding in there. If it's taking upwards of a minute, take that time to slow your chant down. Ask the question still, keep your chant, keep some momentum, but also take a breath so that you're not, whenever you get a fire back in, completely left just exhausted. So while it is engaging to listen to someone say filler words very, very quickly, there is also an appropriate time for you to slow those filler words down and just use them as a question whenever you're grinding. A really good example with number drills, you can do just the numbers 10, 10, 20, 20, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, 100, 100. And when I did that, you heard that I kind of sang to it. I gave it a little bit of rhythm, and that's a good time to practice that. Just giving it kind of a sing-songy sound. You don't want to be monotone. When you're doing that, you can also then throw in now. 10 now, 20 now, 30 now, 40 now, 50 now, 60 now, 70 now, 80 now, 90 now, 100. So that's going to give you a chance to practice having rhythm, to make sure that your tone stays where you want it. Ladies, very specifically, make sure that you try to keep your pitch at a level where people are going to want to listen to you. Really, really high pitched sounds. Anybody can do that. Men, women alike, especially when your nerves get a hold of you. You find that your pitch kind of starts to increase. So when you do that, that's a good time when you're grinding between numbers to slow your chant down, bring your tone back to where it's at a nice, even, easy space to listen to. Another drill, 5, 10, 15, 20, 20, 25, 5, 30, 35, 5, 35, 40. it doesn't necessarily have to be you saying the number twice each time or 3 times each time. You can just practice, counting up and saying those different increments and learning how to count and getting comfortable counting. And a lot of people are probably going to start out at a consignment auction. So you're going to want to start with ones, 2.5s, 5s, 10s, and 25s and maybe 50s. And then as you get into the wholesale car market, then that's a situation where you're going to want to learn to count different increments. And a lot of us can count by twos on evens and odds, and counting by twos on odds is something that you have to practice at. It's not something that is a natural inclination for most people.
So you're saying like a 3, 5, 7, 9, 11,
Yeah.
13, 15,
17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 93, 25, 27, 29, 9, 31, 33, 35. And so you're going to want to practice counting by twos in different increments. Having the ability to have flexibility while counting is just a huge asset to have in your tool belt. A lot of times, counting by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10, 12, 14, 16, through when you get 15, 16, 17, 18, and switching those increments, but still being able to continue counting forward, even if it's by a different number.
So I think something Abby went over earlier that I want to bring back up to kind of stress upon on this video is the reason you're doing these number drills are so everybody knows how to count. We've been counting since kindergarten. But when, like she said, you get 4 or 5 different things going on at once, sometimes you don't know what comes after 10. You don't know what comes after 25. So you want to be in a position where you are so used to your numbers that you don't even think about your number. You just know automatically what number comes next. And that's what those number drills are. And with the number drills, it's as important to go forward as it is to go backwards. So if you 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100. And 95, 90, 85, 80, 85, 70, 65, 60, 55, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. Because if you can go backwards as fast as you can go forwards, that's when you're not thinking about counting forwards. You're just counting. So do your number drills. It's a great way to learn rhythm. It's a great way to learn that sing-song approach that Abby discussed earlier. And I think number drills really are probably a very important next lesson. Definitely the 2.5. So you just 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 15, 17.5, down 20, 22.5, 25, 27.5, or you can 10, 10, 20, 20, 30, 30, or you can just start with the basics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And I'm not trying to count it. So it's not like going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That doesn't sound good,
And
a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I think a tip I would like to add before I let Abby kind of summarize up her lesson and give her synopsis of, this next lesson of minivan Dodge Ram auction school that we got going on, is when you're selling in a situation where you're going to go from one lot to another, you're just going to go right from the next lot to another, figuring out your breathing is a very important thing. And it's going to be something that somebody's going to tell you 100 times, but they may not actually be able to describe to you what they mean by figure out your breathing. And one little tip I could give you is if you know that you need a breath in between this item and that item, take your breath before you sell the last item. So when you want to close out and say sold, and that gives you that little pause that you need to let all your buyers know that the item's about to be sold. And it also gives you a little time that you could cheat in a good breath and nobody really knows it. So you can kind of double that up as a way to close out the last lot and get your breath that you need for the next lot. And you're going to see that this is a very physical profession, and not everybody in it is the most physically fit, but it is definitely a physical. I mean, I have a clip from me selling in-up cars this morning. It was a 22-minute auction. And by 22 minutes in, I was sweating. I mean, it is a physical thing. And the better shape you're in, the better your breathing is, the better your diaphragm is, just the more success you will find in this business. And I could say that cardio is definitely something that I could probably do 2 or 3 times a week that would only make my abilities better because it would help my breathing. And I would say that number knowledge and breathing would be two of your cornerstones towards finding that clear chant that we're searching for. So we're going to hand it back over to Abby. She's going to kind of wrap up this week's lesson on Minivan Auction School.
I'm going to talk a little bit the breathing that you were just talking about. If you're having issues with being breathy and not knowing how to use your diaphragm, laying on your back while you're doing these number drills in just a basic 2-part chant is going to be a really good way for you to find how to breathe. As crazy as that sounds, laying down on your back is going to be a tip and a tool that's going to make that a more accessible breathing exercise for you. So I guess the foundations that you really want to take from this, really re-emphasizing what Logan said last week, clarity beats speed 100% of the time. Learning your numbers, knowing how to count forwards, backwards by different increments, you should be comfortable counting in ways that are unnatural to most people. And then really to finish that up would be practicing your tone and making sure that you understand a 2-part chant before transitioning into that 3-part chant, and just remembering you're just asking a question is all that it is. And then finding those filler words that you can actually roll and speed up. And I'm sure that we'll talk about that probably in a later episode, maybe more opportunities of what filler words are and the importance that if one doesn't fit, don't force it. So thank you, Logan, for including me on Minivan Auction. So in my auction chant, I'm just going to do it really quick and kind of give you a feel for it. Anybody give it a bit, 100, get 2, 100, 2, 3. Anybody give it a little bit, give 4, 5, 5, 400, 5. Anybody give it a little bit, 5. So one of my filler words is and a bid, anybody want to give. One is.
Will you slow that down for the people?
Yep. And a bid, anybody want to give?
And a bid, anybody want to give?
And a bid, anybody want to give? Turns into and a bid, anybody want to give? Turns into and a bid, anybody want to give? And a bid, literally from practicing those words over and over and over again until I got them to roll. I have found that I am more successful with B's than D's. Like I don't do a lot of like dollar in my auction chant because I don't feel like I have the ability to fluctuate my tone with it as successfully. I feel like it actually makes me go to a higher pitch. So I tend to lean more in the B's. Do you want to give? I guess it has D's in it. But I feel like I pop my B's on anybody a lot more than do you want to give? And it turns, do you want to give, turns into what to give, turns into once again, just practice those words over and over again until I had the ability to say them clearly and quickly and to be able to fluctuate how I was saying them.
I guess one last question. Was there a silly word or a silly phrase that you were able to repeat over and over again phonetically that you found may have helped you find a role with your tongue?
So I like to play with my kids whenever I'm doing my auction chant, and I'll say bitty banks and mini max. So I'll be like bitty bank, bitty bank, bitty bank, bitty bank, bitty bank, bitty mac, 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 and they think it's funny, but it also gave me an opportunity to practice saying something quickly with a roll that probably wasn't going to function in an auction chant in a traditional manner. So I would love to hear if anybody has any filler words that they could send for Logan and I to try in a video and see if we could make them work. We would love to hear that. Thank you for letting me part of stuff.
Thanks for jumping on as an instructor. And guys, this good looking gentleman right behind me, he is going to be your next instructor. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to drive like another couple miles down the road. And then him and Abby are going to switch seats, and me and Dad are going to do this whole experience over again. And that's going to be week 3 of Minivan Auction School. So make sure you join us. I would say my wrap up point to this video is, and I'm sure somebody caught it in the video, there are no mistakes. There's just happy little accidents. And if you want to stop and you want to point out to the crowd that you made a mistake or you did something wrong, then everybody will know that you made a mistake or you did something wrong. I'm sure a lot of you noticed when I was counting backwards, I did mess up. I think it was somewhere around 75 or 65. I had a little goof up, but what I did is I just kept rolling with it, because you point out a mistake, it becomes obvious. But going back to lesson number 1, it's like being a professional pitcher and you can't let it get in your head. If you're thinking, ooh, I messed up there, you're not thinking about what you're doing next. So it's a lot of moving forward when you're in the auction industry and when you're doing your auction chant. So don't focus on not saying a word the way you wanted to say it, because then you're not going to say it right the next time. Move on, work on yourself. Practice makes perfect. And I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. If you are, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment if there's something you guys would like to learn, or if there's an auctioneer that you would like for me to reach out to and see if we can maybe get them to give us a little tutorial or a little seminar on Minivan Auction School. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are following along, and we'll see you guys on the next one.